the world's first corporate empire. Imagine a company so vast, so influential, that it could raise armies, topple rulers, and rewrite the map of the world, all in the pursuit of profit. That company wasn't Amazon or Apple. It was the East India Company, founded more than 400 years ago, long before the modern corporation even existed. It began as a group of English merchants seeking spices from the East. But within a century, it had become the backbone of Britain's global dominance, ruling millions, reshaping economies, and laying the foundations of empire. Stay with me, because in the next 12 minutes, we'll uncover how trade became conquest and how the East India Company built and lost an empire of astonishing reach. I'm Professor Marcus Langston. At Digging Deep Histories, we bring global perspectives to British history, combining rigorous research with digital storytelling to uncover how Britain connected with the wider world. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Digging Deep Histories and tap that like button if you enjoy exploring how economics and empire intertwine. England's global ambition. At the turn of the 17th century, England was a small, ambitious kingdom on the edge of Europe, desperate to break into the lucrative spice trade dominated by Spain, Portugal, and the Dutch. In 1600, a charter from Queen Elizabeth I granted the Company of Merchants of London, trading into the East Indies, the exclusive right to trade in the East. That single royal signature gave birth to the East India Company, a corporation with legal powers, its own flag, and eventually its own army. At first, it was just one of many European trading ventures, but as we'll see, timing, opportunity, and ruthless determination turned it into something far greater. The early voyages, trade winds, and risky ventures. The company's first voyages were perilous. Ships took months to reach Asia, sailing around the Cape of Good Hope, facing storms, pirates, and disease. Their target markets were the Mughal Empire in India, the Spice Islands of Indonesia, and the ports of China and Japan. What began as a quest for spices soon expanded to textiles, tea, porcelain, and opium goods that would transform both Eastern and Western economies. The company operated under a simple logic: trade equals wealth, and wealth equals power. It wasn't a government, but in many ways, it acted like one. Monopoly power and private armies. As profits grew, so did ambition. The British Crown renewed the company's charter repeatedly, granting it monopoly control over all English trade east of the Cape of Good Hope. This monopoly meant no Englishman could trade independently in Asia. All had to go through the company. To protect its interests, the company began hiring sepoys in India, forming private armies to guard its factories and warehouses. Soon, those soldiers numbered in the tens of thousands. By the mid-18th century, the East India Company was no longer merely trading, it was governing. Its officials negotiated treaties, collected taxes, and wielded immense influence over local rulers. If you're fascinated by how private companies shape world history, leave a comment below. Do you think corporations still wield that kind of power today? Turning point, Plassey and power. The year 1757 marked a decisive shift. The company's army, led by Robert Clive, defeated the Nawab of Bengal at the Battle of Plassey. This victory gave the company control over Bengal, one of India's richest provinces, and access to vast revenue. For the first time, a private company ruled territory directly, collecting taxes and funding its own expansion. The East India Company had effectively become a state within a state. Clive's triumph at Plassey wasn't just a military success. It was the moment Britain's empire truly began in India, but with great power came corruption, exploitation, and resentment. Trade, exploitation, and empire. As the company expanded its reach across India, its rule grew increasingly extractive. It monopolized production, dictated prices, and disrupted traditional economies. Famine, especially in Bengal in 1770, devastated millions, worsened by company policies prioritizing profit over people. Meanwhile, back in Britain, shareholders grew wealthy, while the British government reaped taxes from imports of Indian goods. Tea, textiles, and spices filled British homes, but the human cost was staggering. This was an empire through economics built not by kings or conquerors, but by merchants and investors. If you think history still echoes in today's global economy, hit the like button. It really helps others find our channel. Revolt and regulation. The company under fire. By the late 18th century, the company's power alarmed Parliament. How could a private corporation wield more influence than the crown itself? After corruption scandals and the Bengal famine, the Regulating Act of 1773 brought the company under partial government oversight. Later came Pitt's India Act, 1784, which established a system of dual control, where the company managed trade, while the British government supervised politics. Still, the company endured. It continued to profit from trade in tea, opium, and textiles, expanding into China and sowing the seeds for the opium wars that would follow. It seemed unstoppable. Until, of course, rebellion erupted. The 1857 rebellion, the end of an era. The Indian Rebellion of 1857, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, was the breaking point. Indian soldiers, long mistreated by company officers, rose in revolt. The rebellion spread rapidly, uniting princes, peasants, and soldiers in one of the largest anti-colonial uprisings in history. When the British government finally crushed the rebellion, the East India Company was finished. In 1858, its powers were dissolved. Control of India passed directly to the British Crown, beginning the British Raj. The company that had once ruled millions ceased to exist. Legacy, the blueprint for globalization. Though the East India Company vanished, its legacy endures. It pioneered modern corporate governance, global trade networks, and even financial markets. Its archives reveal a world connected by commerce, from the docks of London to the ports of Calcutta and Canton. The company's methods of control through trade, influence through finance, echo in today's global economy. Multinational corporations, trade blocs, and global logistics all trace part of their DNA to the East India Company's empire of exchange. It's a reminder that economics and empire have always been intertwined, and that the forces of trade can shape nations as powerfully as any army. The story of the East India Company isn't just about the past. It's about the origins of the world we live in today, a world where trade, technology, and power remain deeply connected. If this story made you think differently about how empires are built and who truly builds them, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Digging Deep Histories, and share it with someone who loves uncovering how history connects our world. Thank you for watching. I'm Professor Marcus Langston. Stay tuned to Digging Deep Histories as we uncover Britain's global connections and the stories that shaped our shared past.